Hola, bom dia, Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream. How are you today? Let me just do a few adjustments. It feels like ages since I've been here. I don't know if it's the same for you, if you feel like you've had a very long weekend. How was it for you with the ban on intermunicipality movements over this last weekend? I hope you had a good one. Whatever festivities or whatever occasion you were marking this weekend, of course, because it was All Saints Day yesterday, wasn't it? And then, of course, Dia das Brujas, Halloween on Saturday. Quite a busy weekend, and then the whole restriction on movement as well. A strange one. Do let me know how you got on. That's what we like to do on a Monday, is to find out how your weekend went if you're here in Portugal. And for those of you trying to get to Portugal, which I know for you Americans, it must seem really, really testing at the moment. Let us know if you're able to do any planning over the weekend in order to get here, or are all your plans in place and all you're waiting for now is just a green light to be able to travel. And what an interesting week this is going to be for you guys as well. We will be covering that tomorrow night and Wednesday night on the Portugal show in the evening from 10 o'clock Lisbon time. So hopefully you'll be able to join us and let us know your feelings and views about the result as it comes in. So Cindy Green says, good morning from Chicago. Great to hear from you, Cindy. I do like your profile pic. How is the weather in Chicago this morning? We'll look at the Portuguese weather in just a moment. And new friend of the show, hi Carl, good morning. Thank you for starting the live stream. It's my pleasure, Sally, to do this. What's your interest in Portugal? Do let us know. So let's go to that weather. People are a bit slow this morning, I think. We've got quite a few people tuned in, and I can see, but nobody's saying hello as yet. How was your weekend? And how do you see this momentous week in history, in global history? Do let us know your view on that. Anna, good morning to you. Cascais, presumably this morning. Bon dia to you. Or should I say igualmente? I don't think you say that, do you? When someone says bon dia, it'd be a bit weird to say igualmente. That's more for your bon dia, bon fin de semana, isn't it? Or other more formal greetings, I think. Hola, bon dia from Paul Williams. Lovely weather. It's still hanging out. Oh, it's still hanging on. Sorry, so the lovely weather is still hanging on, but not for much longer. Go, Joe. Go, Joe. Okay. Is that a reflection on the weather, or like, let's get this party started on the show here, Paul? Much fretting about the upcoming election, says Cindy over there in Chicago. We don't expect results quickly. Cold and windy here. Thanks for letting us know, Cindy. I'll tell you what you're missing in Portugal, which actually is very rainy today. So it's not one of those days where we're doing our full-on bragging rights here in Portugal, saying how wonderful it is. Much needed rain where I am today, and today is cloudy in Cascais as well. So on the screen, but I need a bit of help from you with this, Anna. What we like to do is put the day on the screen so you can at least learn the days of the week in Portuguese. Segunda-feira, of course, which is Monday. And I don't know how you actually formally, how most people would say this, how most people would say the 2nd of November. What I'm going to go with is Segunda-feira, 2 de novembro, because I'm thinking dia is feminine, so I'm going to go with 2 de novembro, awaiting correction from our Portuguese correspondents this morning. And Weird, or Wyerd, says, good morning from Calliance. Where's that, Weird? And good morning, Carl. Got a bit of a reverberation on the mic. Bit of reverb, huh? 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't quite know what's happening with that. I'll be honest with you, Gary. Oh no, I pressed the button now, which might make it worse. Let's see what happens with that. Hi from Danny. Good morning to you. I know what I can press actually, which might help with that. Let me just see if I got my speaker configuration. You tell me if this works any better. There you go. That should help. And that's kind of strange for you podcast listeners to have your audio messed about with, but I'm sure Gary will let us know if that's going any better now. Sean Maguire, bon dia, my dear, from a sunny Pedrogo Porquino. Oh, I see. So it's sunny over there in Castelo Branco this morning. And Weird is in Singapore. So it's Deutsch. I got it wrong. Okay, Deutsch de Novembro. Thank you very much, Anna. Do try. So Segunda-feira, 2 de novembro. Why would that be if dia is a feminine word, or is it not a feminine word? Bon dia, Carl, from the San Francisco Bay Area. What's the temperature like there politically at the moment, Chris? And lovely to make your acquaintance. I can see, I think we friended up on Facebook, didn't we, over the weekend? And we are Kalyan's from Singapore. Well, good morning to you. It's lovely to hear from you in Singapore. Claire and Steve, haven't heard from you for a while. Bon dia, Carl, from a very calm Knutsford. Yes, folks, there is a place near Manchester called Knutsford. Isn't that a lovely name for a town? A horrendous night with the tail end of the storms. Thought the motorhome was going to lift off from Claire and Steve. Crazy times, huh? And Anna's just giving me a little bit of emoticon encouragement, I think, with my Portuguese pronunciation. We'll keep going with that. How's it going for you generally, guys? Are you learning your Portuguese? How are you doing that? Lovely to have Philomena here last Friday, wasn't it? Philomena Friday. And she sang that song to us that is sung traditionally because the Portuguese festival, as you might expect, predates Halloween and trick-or-treating. And when young people go around from house to house, knocking on the doors and singing a song, I can't remember the melody, and I won't torture you with my voice. But did anyone knock on your door and tell you that your house smelt of cornbread and that you were a nice person, or did you get the other one? Did you not open the door, and did you have the kids telling you that you smelt of garlic and that you look like a scarecrow? It's kind of Monty Python-esque, that, isn't it? And mothers smelling of elderberries and that kind of thing. Okay, that weather that I keep promising you but not doing. Let's have a look now at the expatsportugal.com weather around Portugal today. And like a lot of us, I think, slow to load on a Monday morning. But we will check out the weather for you in Lisbon, in Porto, Coimbra and Faro. And of course, we will have a look at the news. But I do want to know from you what you think is going to happen, what the effects will be. Because, I'm thinking, okay, I'm asking people what they think of the American election, and some people might be thinking, well, hold on a minute, that's nothing to do with Portugal. What's that got to do with Portugal? I actually think, yes, it's a kind of irony there, is that Portugal's a really good place to be, to get away from all of the world events. Go buy yourself a homestead in the middle of the countryside in Portugal and forget all about the crazy world. That's doable. That's possible here. People are doing that, and I have some sort of admiration for them in many ways. And then if you're more of a sort of globalist, thinking in terms of how everything at work in the global economy and politics affects everybody else, and obviously if you're coming from that point of view, this is a very important week, isn't it? Who's going to get it? I mean, Biden is tipped in the polls for a win, and seems to have been pushing Trump into a cocked hat in the last few days. But are polls useful? They weren't last time, were they? Lisbon, 17 degrees at the moment, mostly cloudy, and there'll be a high of 22, albeit a cloudy one today, Monday, in Segunda-feira in Lisboa. And the week, let me tell you what the week's going to look like. Rain towards the end of the week, temperatures around 18 and 19 degrees centigrade in the capital. Sunny day tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day to get out and about in Lisbon, 18 degrees, and a little bit of sun peeking out from behind the clouds on Wednesday. Temperature's quite low, actually, for Lisbon standards. Under the 20s, hovering around 16 and 17 and 18 in the capital. Porto, getting a bit windy on Wednesday. There's a bit of a wind alert for you on Wednesday in Porto. It's going to be a rainy, cloudy one today with a high of 18, currently 17 and overcast. And similarly to the capital, the best day of the week is forecast currently for tomorrow. Sunny tomorrow and a rainy rest of the week in Porto from Thursday right through over the weekend. Although 20 degrees, nice and mild in Porto on Thursday, but temperatures dropping thereafter. Coimbra, 17 degrees and overcast, and a little cloudy, rainy day with a high of 21 degrees today. And again, sunny day tomorrow to look forward to. Some sun on Wednesday at 16 degrees, but then the rain and the clouds coming back again for the rest of the week, Thursday through to Sunday. Faro, where you might expect it to be sunny, but oh no, lots of rain forecast this week in Faro, down there in the south from Wednesday onwards. Rain, mild temperatures, of course, as you might expect, but 24-degree high today. The sun barely making it from behind the clouds today, and a cloudy day tomorrow, making way for the rain on Wednesday. So there you go. There's your weather picture. Not getting much in from you about what you did at the weekend. Do let me know. This is lovely to be able to read to you. Good accent. You're on the right way with my Segunda-feira, 2 de novembro. Thank you very much. I can say things like "Corny Sensor," like the best of them, Anna. But it's very, very nice to hear you say that to me. It really is. Makes a big difference to me. The weather is dark in San Francisco. I feel like the politics, maybe, for you Californians. 59 Fahrenheit. Although I guess things are looking up in California, in Biden-dominated California, if I've got that right. Reg Pello is here. Bon dia, todas pessoas. Thick. That's very good, Reg. A thick fog and sun behind. Thick fog and sun behind the fog. Okay, hopefully that sun will be burning up the fog there in Terras Novas. In Portugal, folks, worth looking at on the map if you're considering places to settle in Portugal. That part of the country, pretty cool, around Tamar, Torres Novas, and so on. Hola from Laura Bulcan. Having said that, Reg, Torres Novas, isn't it Tamar, isn't it? I'm sure you'll let us know. We are hibernating here, says Laura, in this beautiful weather. So where are you? You've not told me where you are, Laura, and I'll forget if you may have told me before. Pete, how was the surfing, Pete? This crazy guy, Pete Wilton Davies, morning from a bright, sunny Castanera de Pera. He was at Nazaré last week. Did you get in the water? How was it? The weekend, I'm glad to see you survived that craziness as well, Pete. The weekend was spent gardening, wintering the pool, and roasting more chestnuts and chorizo at our village social club. Often with a fabulous vignette of Portuguese life. Sounds good, doesn't it? Gardening, I did a bit of that myself, making the area for the chickens much nicer, and also creating a little fire pit where we enjoyed a little bit of Dias de Brujas Halloween action with the pumpkins and sat around the fire with the kids. Wanted to talk to them about the ancestors and the old days, but kids are just not interested in that sort of stuff. Well, they were just happy toasting marshmallows. But look at him. He was in the garden at the weekend, wintering the pool. I guess that's preparing. Although he's a surfer, it sounds like he's sounding like he's little sip of Honeygir here. Hold on. Yeah, it sounds like, although a hardy specimen, Pete, with his surfing in the Atlantic here, even taking on the Nazarian waves, he's staying out of his pool for the winter, just probably shuttering it or whatever the equivalent is of a swimming pool for the winter, and not popping in there until the spring. Roasting more chestnuts, I can almost smell them from here, and roasting the chorizo as well at the village social club. That's the sort of life I was talking about, where you can turn your back on world politics and go local and just really be with the people who are really important, i.e. your friends and neighbours, and build your social capital and not worry too much about the craziness of world affairs right now. I don't know if that's a fair caricature of your life there, Pete. Lots of lovely comments coming in now. Look, Nuno, is it still bad, the microphone? Bom dia, Carl. Boa semana para todos. Check your radio microphone. Sounds like from the man cave. I think I've done all the things I can do, folks. I'm really not sure what else I can do now. Let me just shut that window down there on that effect there. I'm hoping that's it. I don't know what else to do or what else to say. We will proceed. Let me see. Let me just go back Deborah Davis. Any man who cites hatred and nastiness is a threat to the world. I think I know who you're referring to there, Deborah. Lockdown to come in the UK. I'm sure the English lockdown won't be as placid and as warm as the Portuguese lockdown we had in March to June. Indeed not, Steve and Claire there. All the best to you folks over there. Lots of love to you in this lockdown that's coming to you for a month in the UK. Wow. We're in the mountains. I'm guessing in the mountains of Portugal. Sounds fantastic. Laura hibernating up there in the mountains. And for a good week, says Anna. Oh, yes, a good accent for a good week, perhaps. I see. We're getting some links from Anna. Thank you, Anna, for those. Really appreciate it. I'm not sure what those are. This is this the tourism Oscars? Portugal ranking highly as ever in the world of tourism. Bad year for it this year, of course, but hopefully that's what that is. The UK Brexit negotiations will be greatly affected by the results of the USA election. Trade deals with the USA, excuse me, will decide how Boris deals with any deals he does with the EU. So yes, very important from that point of view, Deborah. Do join us from 10 p.m. tomorrow night and Wednesday night for our election coverage, where a few of us from the Man Cave will be gathering both sides of the Atlantic. to keep an eye on things, to do our political punditry. Some say the result will be known very quickly. And of course, always with politics, as soon as you get one view in, you get the opposite view, don't you? So some say the results will be known very quickly. Others say this might go on for days or even weeks. We will see. Let's have a look at. Oh yes, Laura saying we had a little party, so that maybe that's why you're hibernating. I partied a little too hard over there in the mountains at the weekend. Gary Austin saying, Garvo, hello mate. Good strategy from Trump, I think. Trail in the polls when you will get your supporters coming out to vote for you at the last minute. That may well be his strategy, because I've heard people talking about polls as voter suppression. That if a poll, for example, says, okay, yeah, Biden's got it, stops Biden voters going out, and then it makes the Trump voters go out to try and change the result. I think that's the sort of thing you're talking about there, Gary. Olga Silva, bon dia, Kalimera from Greece. Good morning to you in Greece this morning. Can you send images? Laura, I would be delighted if you could send images of your mountain retreat. And from there in Sardinia. I guess when you tell people you're from Sardinia, they think you're in Sardinia in Italy. But of course, you're over there in Goish. I love Goish. I love your river beach there. Do please send images and we'll use them on the starter screen. You saw me maybe this morning with the starter screen of the chocolate pastel de nata, which I have to say I wasn't very impressed with. I'm going to go back to the original and best. I'm not going to be doing that again. This was a pastel de nata at my local cafe. Couldn't resist it when I saw it smeared with Nutella. I thought that's going to be nice, but I felt a bit dirty, betraying the original pastel de nata. So I won't be doing that again. But yes, Laura, do send images and we'll pop them up as our starter screen. That applies to everybody. Do send your beautiful images of Portugal. You know, at the moment, beautiful autumnal possibilities for pictures of Portugal. So do send them in and I will use them on the starter screens. Raining in Hampshire, just thrown a tarp over a mattress strapped to the car for its journey to Dun later this morning. I want to go surfing. I'm jealous. Deborah, just get here as soon as you can. And Pete will tell you all he knows, I suspect, about surfing in Portugal. Ferry and I only went to Nazaré to watch the action and lunch at my favourite restaurant. We managed to avoid most of the crowds. Good news there, Pete. Yeah, glad that you were staying on dry land and stayed safe. Whatever you may think, the US elections still have a global impact. I'm sure Boris is watching with great interest before he makes his next move. Interesting time. There must be people in the world who have no interest in the US elections or the elections of the so-called, you know, big countries, the alliance and so on, and are just going about their lives. And they are living proof in many ways that their lives don't change a great deal I mean, the more rural you are, I suspect, and the more secluded you are, and the less you engage in, and I'm making this sound really attractive to myself now, thinking this is what I want to do. You know, the more you kind of go off grid, not necessarily, you know, literally electrically, but like mentally and spiritually, the further you can distance yourself away from all those influences that are pouring through the TV and the radio, and me right now for that matter, perhaps the happier you are in your seclusion. And some might say, you know, that ignorance is bliss, and that's an ignorant position to be in. But is it? Is it really? But I get your point, I get your point. Reg says, hi, yes, sim, mais ou menos meia hora para Tomar. So yeah, Reg is over there in Torres Novas, only half an hour more or less from Tomar, from my grasp of Portugal. I'll tell you what I did at the weekend. I went to the circus, but before I tell you about the sad state of circus, and before anyone gets excited, it was a human-only circus, okay? No animals were harmed in the making of the circus I went to yesterday, apart from human ones. And their economic prospects, I have to say. But from Cindy, some folks expect Trump to declare victory Tuesday night. Okay, this is what I was talking about, before all the votes are counted. We'll see what happens when all the early votes get counted. That's not like him at all, is it, to declare an early victory? We did so well. I have won. I got the big numbers. Some states don't start counting those early votes until election day. Some states count them as the votes come in. Yeah, okay, so as is usual, I guess, in the United States, united to varying degrees, each state has its own way of doing things, of course, as a part of the federation. So thank you for that, Cindy. The sound is good now. Okay, I'm glad. Mike sounds fine to me, says Cindy. I'm really relieved, because that would be horrible for our podcast listeners who catch this later on Spotify and all other good podcasting purveyors. Good morning, all. Microphone sounds okay here. Shelley, one of my health advisors. Thank you, Shelley, for the lovely input you gave me recently in some things I might consider. It's really helped. And as you can tell, I'm telling it, I think a little bit richer and fruity, a couple of coughs, but a little bit richer and fruitier and not so hesitant. Not like I've got a frog or some other reptile stuck in my throat, an amphibian, I mean, stuck in my throat. Thank you, Shelley, for that, and good morning to you. You got it right, Carl. I cannot influence world events and politics, so I generally ignore them and enjoy the amazing life we have here. Pete, I think that's right and good. So I didn't caricature you incorrectly, and you know, the reason I feel like I'm sort of slightly addicted to world politics. You know, like I'm the old man who I looked at when I was a kid, sat in the chair flicking through the news, i.e. my dad or my stepdad. And, you know, then I couldn't understand why they did it. And now I can't understand why I do it either. But there's a certain sort of addiction or something compelling about it that makes me want to do it. And I feel a sort of responsibility to keep an eye on it so that I can be on top of things for, you know, the work I do here with Good Morning Portugal and the Portugal Show. I think it's right to have a context of what's going on in the world. But I totally sympathise with what you're saying there, Pete. Bon dia from Maryland in the US. Crazy doesn't even begin to describe what we're going through now. I don't think anyone would argue with that, Doreen. Whatever their political persuasion is, crazy. I've been planning to move to Portugal. Good for you, Doreen. Race, which I think is, does that belie some Portugal roots or ancestry you might have there, Doreen? But yes, good luck in your endeavours with that. Let us know how we can help. Loads more Americans joining us at expatsportugal.com to get help on how to come over here to Portugal. A very helpful forum. Characters like Prosecco Peggy on there, an American who has made her home in the Algarve now in Faro. A really great help to people. So lots of people helping people, lots of Americans helping Americans over there on the forum at expatsportugal.com. And of course, all our webinars that we do are very popular with American folks and British. You know, what is it at the moment? I wonder. You know, with the British and the Americans feeling the need to get away from their countries of origin and come and enjoy a different sort of life in Portugal. I know the answer to that question. I'm only kidding, but it's certainly putting a spring in their step right now. So good luck to you, Doreen, in your endeavours. Portugal won Destination of the Year. Yay! That's fantastic news. Well done. Thanks for sharing that with us. And I will look at that tomorrow then. Thank you very much, Anna, for that. Bom dia, pessoas lindas. Good morning, beautiful people. Tenham uma ótima semana. Have a beautiful or a good week from Owen. How was your weekend in Lisbon, my friend? Laura, I will just go ask the village goats who to vote for. Perhaps they will know best. And I think in that sentence there, Laura is agreeing entirely with the position of like going and living your life locally in central Portugal, get to know your neighbours, be with your loved ones, hang out with goats, and just live a simpler life. Again, sorry if I've caricatured you incorrectly there, but that sounds wonderful, Laura. And I'm sure many people are envious of such a lifestyle when they think about it. It's rainy here, over there in Singapore, 5:18 p.m. You're ahead of us, and you always will be, Singapore. Almost for a few weeks, no community spread of COVID. Yeah, I think Singapore is being held up as one of the successes, right, as with some other Southeast Asian countries, like a harsh lockdown at the beginning, and that seemed to do the trick and help. A good track and trace system, good testing, and you know, in conventional terms, in the understanding and treatment of the pandemic, Singapore ranking highly there. So well done, Singapore. Thank you for letting us know that. Weird. I'm saying it in a weird way because, yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But anyway, palabra do dia, word of the day is colheita or harvest, as now is the time for olives, chestnuts, mushrooms, and late season grapes. So let me attend to that now, Pete. I'm going to adjust that as we go on the screen and put in colheita, which you'll see in wine aficionados. People who are interested in wine here, and obviously if you are, you must be part of our Good Morning Portugal wine club. But colheita you'll see on bottles of wine as well, referring to the harvest. Yes, here, the time of harvest in Portugal for olives, chestnuts, mushrooms, and late season grapes. My mouth is watering at the very thought. Thank you for all your contributions. I was going to tell you about my trip to the circus, wasn't I? And I'll do that now after saying a quick bon dia to Neil Perkins. Only managed to get 2 of those bottles, Neil, I'm afraid. We'll have to have a chat about that. Do we have to be watching on Facebook to join in the conversation? No, Louise, haven't you just commented there? I guess if you want to converse with people who are on Facebook, yeah, you'd have to be on Facebook, or you'll have to I use me as an intermediary, I suppose. Yeah, so you won't be able to see. You'll only be able to see the comments on the platform that you're watching on. Yes, to answer that, I think that's probably the difficulty there, right, Louise? So yes, you'll need to be on Facebook to converse with those people on Facebook and respectively all the other platforms. But I do my best to, because people take the time and bother to comment. I take the time and bother to mention everybody who's done so, unless it's really random and weird. But then again, I sometimes mention those as well because I quite enjoy those too. Don't know if it's just me, but you sound a bit distant, like an outside lav. Echoey. I think it's different for different people this morning. Some saying it's okay, some not. Hi, Luisa. I'm sending. So okay, yeah, there you go. Weird in Singapore is with you on YouTube, Luis. What restaurant do you go to in Nazare? Because there are quite a lot there, Pete. We'd like that recommendation, please. We'd like that recommendation there in Nazare of your favourite restaurant, Pete. If you don't mind sharing that with us. Either way we lose is a prognosis, a 4-word prognosis for the election, and I can understand that sentiment for sure, Chris. This is the problem with the polar politics these days, isn't it? You've got half the people wanting one thing, half the other. It's the same with Brexit. What sort of recipe for cohesion and inclusivity and people just blooming getting on with each other is that? A political system that divides people in half is asking for trouble. I think that at the front end, politics should be representative. And the division should be within the government chambers, right? You should have a left and a right, a blue and a red inside the chamber, not at the front end of the electoral system, to have it so polar where you end up with half being against the other half. Let's have a half and half inside the parliament buildings where things can be debated from both sides of the argument. But why start that from the get-go and divide people out on the streets? And then, as you say there, either way we lose. I think that's the problem. Share pics with y'all soon. So pics to come from Goish, pics to come from Lisbon. That's fantastic. Elsa Riley here from North Wales. Good morning, all from a beautiful, calm, sunny Prestatyn. Sounds lovely. North Wales is so beautiful, isn't it? The problem is, if you ignore global politics and uncaring regimes spread around the world, the place you live in might fall foul of the politics you are trying to avoid. Yeah, that does occur to me, Deborah. But it is difficult to keep up the interest if it's not on your doorstep. Also, you just get exhausted. True. Best to help those who are affected by bad regimes as best you can. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what you're saying there possibly is balance is the important thing, right? Maybe keep one eye on the politics, keep one eye on the local, and make sure you don't bump into anything as you go cross-eyed trying to do that. We're an Indian couple working here in Singapore, but we plan to retire in Portugal. Weird, you're so welcome. Do stay in touch with us, and we'll do all we can to help you get over here with advice and know-how from the ground here, as you can see with all these lovely people who have made that journey already, or are making it. Maria Jose Fernandez, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Carl. Have a great week. Thank you so much, Maria. That's really lovely to hear. No, I mean with you. But you've just answered the question. Fantastic. That's to do with the comments coming in. We get more and more people joining us from YouTube now, which is fantastic. Here we go. The recommendation, folks, in Nazare this morning from Pete is the Solar dos Amigos, about 20 minutes from Nazare near Caldas de Reina. It is brilliant. And whilst you mention it, Caldas de Reina is a great town to visit, and there is a lovely restaurant inside the park there. There's a fabulous park with a museum and an art gallery in it in Caldas de Reina. There is also a beautiful restaurant. There's the lake, the ducks. Really, really nice place, Caldas de Reina, worth a visit, full of historical charm and a modern town as well. I do thoroughly recommend the restaurant in the park there. And Pete is recommending Solar dos Amigos, what's that? The Sunshine of Friends. That translates beautifully, doesn't it? So thanks for that, Pete. We're always happy for a recommendation. Which place near Faro do you suggest to live on retirement? We love to be among people and markets. Well, I'll let people who live in the south answer that. I don't know the south very well, but I mean, the place near Faro, which is really nice, is Lulé. Lulé is lovely, has a fantastic market. One of my podcasts actually captures the market sound, the throng and the buzz of the Lulé market. Really nice, really lovely little town. I was going to call him an organic dentist, a bio dentist. A really skillful and unusual dentist down there by the name of Reinhardt. So good dentist, lovely people, and a wonderful market. Lolé would be my suggestion, but I don't know it that well, Raj, to give you a conclusive answer on that. I'm sure others will. Better connection on YouTube. So that's the sound thing that is the problem. So maybe it's an internal Facebook thing with the sound this morning. Sorry if that's a problem for anyone today. Good morning, everyone, from the man like Frank Devane, who is my co-host on the Expat Man Cave. Great fun. Great fun at the on the Man Cave last Friday with Garvo, Terence, and Frank here. Terence, Gary, Frank, they're very sort of distinctive names, aren't they? Real men's names, obviously, in the Expat Man Cave. Do join us for a bit of fun and a bit of seriousness. We talked about American politics, and we will be doing so again, as I said, tomorrow night and Wednesday night with the Man Cave folks, but not exclusively. Donna Jacqueline will be joining us, our expat elder, who is in her 80s and has an amazing view of the world, obviously, from her unique perspective as an expat here and as someone who's lived a very interesting life. So she'll be giving us her two penneth on the election as well. And everyone welcome to come in and watch however you might see it, the horror unfolding, or how we make sense of it, whatever you think, from 10 o'clock tomorrow night and Wednesday night as well. Tonight, talking of the Man Cave, Mr. Meme Machine, that is Paul Ryan, joins me tonight for an expat chat. He's been here for a while in Portugal. He's a well-travelled fella, has travelled around the world, spent time in Australia, and he's joining me tonight. He's one of the inspirations for doing this. He said we need an expat radio show, Carl, and so he's a really big reason why we're here at all. So I'll be talking to him in a leisurely and lengthy way tonight for an hour about his experiences, and we're happy to be interrupted at any time by any of our transatlantic friends who find it easier to join at that time of day, actually, with any help you want on moving to Portugal. So we'll hear his story and we'll help you with yours as well. So do join us tonight from 10 for that. Yes, balance, says Deborah. You can't help anyone if you're stressed out yourself. Absolutely right. It's the old aeroplane thing, isn't it? You know, you've got to put your own air supply on first before you can help anyone else. And here we go. Here's a saudade moment. Restaurants, says Hannah, over there in the UK. I think no more of those here from Thursday. Yes, definitely in the UK. Restaurants. Who would have thought we would ever say that? Restaurants. I remember those. Wow. I am the same, Mrs. Kalyan from PC. I am seen as Raj. Okay, so this happens, doesn't it, with couples? Sometimes you can appear to be the other one and cause a lot of confusion on the web. And Raj says, so it's not Raj, it's Mrs. Kalyan saying hello via husband Raj's profile on YouTube. Thank you. Sola dos Amigos, Sola, it's a big house. Okay, so la means home, doesn't it? So nothing to do with the sun. Sola, it's a big house, so it's Portuguese for a kind of palace, a palace of friends. Sola dos Amigos, learn something every day here. Thank you for that. And I will lock myself up and do some writing. Well done, Laura. Self-imposed lockdown over there in Goish. Love to share my theories, Carl. You're always welcome, Owen. Join us tomorrow night and Wednesday night. Share your theories. You know we're open-minded, open-hearted, and respectful in conversation on the Portugal show and the Good Morning Portugal show. So do join me. Ana Solar, it's a noble family house. There you go. So a bit more vocab for you. We just do a little chef's table here, says Laura. I wonder what that means. Would love to be walking around Caldas today, or Lisbon, with a smell of roasted chestnuts. Sounds like your mic is from the laptop, not the fancy radio one. Well, that's disappointing, and you're absolutely right. That is what's going on. And at the risk of making things... And I don't know what happened, but there you go. That should be better now. Finally got to the bottom of that just as we're finishing. Life goes on. People stay snug, and no one's shouting at each other over masks. There you go. Life in central Portugal. Just finally then, my weekend, circus. The Israel Modesto circus. Saw it once before in Ancião. I went down the bottom of my garden the other night, full moon in the sky, and what's that in the distance? I can see the circus. Lights. The big top. See it in the distance from my garden when I was out walking the dogs at the bottom of the garden, hanging out with the fairies at the bottom of the garden, you know, like I do. I thought, I've got to take the kids again. We've got to go to the circus. And so we did yesterday afternoon. And I am so sorry to say, in an auditorium in a big top, they only did 2 dates here in Anadia.
in an auditorium that looks like it seats about 500 people. There were less than 50 people in there. We made some noise. We wanted to make the performers welcome. And, you know, the show must go on. You know that, don't you? In circus, the show must go on. They gave it their all. It was great. And as I said, no animals. It was just human acrobatics, clowns, jugglers, just great stuff. And they really went out of their way to ensure social distancing. So their capacity was going to be down anyway. Gone to such an effort to come to Anadia to put the big top up and less than 50 people in there. And I sat down with the popcorn with my two kids, and you know, the buzz wasn't there in the auditorium. It was still great, but the buzz wasn't there in the auditorium. Less than 50 people in a 500-seater. They played their hearts out, did all the performers, and they were really good. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's this phrase, isn't there? You know, bread and circuses. And I'm thinking, if this carries on with the way we're going, with the way the pandemic's being handled, with the consequences for the economy and for people trying to make a living, we will only have bread. We won't have circuses. I don't know how they're going to continue. I hope that they are getting some sort of support and subsidy in the way that some businesses are in Portugal and around the world. But it was everyone's keeping on a brave face. It's the circus, makeup, red nose, you know, and I'm there with my kids. Yeah, this is great, isn't it, kids? But in my privately reflecting on it, sat there, I'm thinking, this is miserable. This is sad. This is can't continue like this. This relies on this place being full and the performers and the circus getting money for making the effort. What partly pandemic, partly maybe a change in culture. You know, everyone watches everything on TV now rather than going out and making an effort. The few Portuguese people that were there were dressed up to go. Oh, we look like farmers because we kind of misread. we kind of just popped down there from where we live, so we're pretty scruffy compared to our Portuguese friends, neighbours, and colleagues inside the circus. But I was thinking, how is this going to continue? And you know, is it because people just stay in and watch everything on telly now and they don't support these great traditional things and go out and see live performances? Is it the pandemic? Is it a bit of both? Either way, it was very sad. It was very sad indeed. Okay, just a couple more comments before we go then. Yes, I'm back in the room. Thank you very much. Audio back to normal. And yeah, Laura's saying that is so sad. So my final plea, you can't go and see the circus now at Anadia, in Anadia. They're packing up. And I think this is life in the circus last night after the show. In the mist and rain, they were packing up, ready to go to wherever they were going next. And what must they have made there? My rough calculations, less than 50 people paying about an average of 10 or so euros or something like that. Is that going to feed a circus? You know, if they did 2 nights like that and they made something like with all the food, maybe 2,000 euros to support a circus troupe, and all the effort they'd gone to when their takings could be 10 times that, for a couple of nights. How do they survive? Sorry to leave you on that bit of a bummer note there, but that's my appeal is where you can get out and support the local businesses and the local traditions, and please don't let them wither on the vine, which is the danger that we're facing at the moment. So a little bit of bad news there, a bit of a grim scene that I'm reporting, but we do have the solution in our hands to get out, go to the circus. You know, they had all the measures in place as they were meant to, with hand sanitizer everywhere. They'd even worked it into the clown routines. It was fantastic. You know, masks, social distancing, they nailed it. And still, there were less than 50 people there in a 500-seater auditorium. Please get out, support your local businesses and local traditions. Look after the small people who keep the country going in that respect, who keep the communities going. Don't send all your money to Jeff Bezos and flipping Amazon. Come on, guys, we can do better than this. We can work together and get through this. See you tonight with Paul Ryan as we have an expat chat with him. Do tune in, you transatlantic friends. We'll give you all the help we can to help you come over here, regardless of the result, tomorrow night and Wednesday night, which we'll also cover on the Portugal show in the evening. And I will see you tonight or see you tomorrow morning. Take care and bye.